Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are the owner of the most advanced machine ever created. It runs on its own fuel. It repairs microscopic damage while you sleep. It upgrades its internal systems without you even noticing. It adapts, recalibrates, and optimizes itself in real time. Engineers could spend centuries trying to replicate it and still fail. That machine is your body. But there is one condition hidden in the warranty. It only stays high performance when it moves. The moment it stops for too long, something subtle begins to shift. Not years from now, not decades from now, within minutes. When you sit down and remain there, the largest muscles in your body go quiet. Electrical activity drops. Enzymes responsible for clearing fat from your bloodstream slow down. Blood sugar lingers longer than it should. Your biology quietly switches from build and repair to store and conserve. Nothing dramatic, no alarms, no warning lights, just a gradual dimming of systems designed for motion. We live in a world that has made stillness normal. Chairs at work, sofas at night, cars in between. And because nothing feels immediately wrong, we assume nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, your biology is always making decisions. Either you are signaling strength, circulation, adaptation, or you are signaling storage, stagnation, and slow decline. Here is what most people never realize. There is a specific threshold. A moment, often around the 30-minute mark of sustained walking, when your brain flips a switch. A powerful biological trigger that many people try to buy in the form of supplements and performance hacks. And yet it is activated by something deceptively simple. You standing up, opening the door, and taking that first step. Now let's identify the real enemy. It is not age, it is not genetics, it is not a lack of motivation. It is prolonged stillness. Scientists describe something called the sedentary cascade. It sounds dramatic, but the biology behind it is precise. The moment you sit and remain seated, activity in the large muscles of your legs drops sharply. These muscles are not just for movement, they are metabolic engines. When they fall quiet, a critical enzyme called lipoprotein lipase decreases rapidly. This enzyme acts like a clearing system inside your bloodstream. Its job is to break down circulating triglycerides and help shuttle fats into tissues where they can be used efficiently. When its activity falls, fats remain suspended in the blood longer than they should. Over time, that environment shifts from dynamic to congested. Triglyceride levels rise. HDL, the protective cholesterol, tends to decline. The internal chemistry slowly favors storage rather than utilization. At the same time, blood glucose is handled less effectively. Cells become less responsive to insulin's signal. Not in a single afternoon, but through repetition, day after day, hour after hour. This is how metabolic aging begins. Quietly, without drama. Your body interprets stillness as a signal. Energy is scarce. Movement is unnecessary. Conserve. Store. Prepare for famine. The problem is that modern life creates artificial famine signals in a world of constant abundance. You are not malfunctioning. You are adapting to the message you are sending. And here is the critical point. The cascade is reversible. It does not require extreme workouts. It does not require punishment. It requires interruption, a break in stillness. Because the same muscles that shut down this system when inactive can restart it the moment they contract rhythmically again. The enemy is not effort. The enemy is inertia. And the antidote begins with motion. So you decide to interrupt the stillness. You stand up. And something unexpected happens. Before your body changes, your mind resists. There is a subtle weight, a quiet negotiation in your head. You feel comfortable, stable, efficient. Your brain whispers that movement can wait. This is not weakness. It is an ancient energy conservation program. For most of human history, calories were scarce. Wasting energy without purpose could mean death. So your brain learned to protect you from unnecessary effort. But today, that protection works against you. You take the first step anyway. In the first few minutes, your body feels slightly stiff. Breathing is shallow. Your joints warm slowly. Then, around the 5 to 10 minute mark, the shift begins. Your heart rate rises to a steady rhythm. Blood flow increases. Oxygen delivery improves. Nothing extreme, no panic, just a controlled activation. By 10 to 15 minutes, a deeper metabolic change unfolds. Your muscles begin contracting rhythmically, over and over. Inside those muscle cells, specialized transporters known as GLUT4 move toward the cell surface. They act like doors opening from the inside. Glucose in your bloodstream no longer needs to rely solely on high insulin signals. Your working muscles pull it in directly and use it immediately for fuel. Traffic clears. Post-meal blood sugar spikes flatten. The internal congestion that builds during sitting begins to dissolve. Research from the American Diabetes Association has shown that even a short walk after eating can significantly reduce glucose excursions compared to remaining seated. You are not simply burning calories, you are regulating chemistry. Around the 15 to 20 minute mark, another layer shifts. Stress hormones begin to settle. When you sit under pressure, your body receives mixed signals. Threat chemistry without physical action. But when you move, your nervous system recalibrates. The message changes from frozen to engaged. Cortisol levels begin trending downward. Your breathing deepens. Mental fog thins. At the same time, the muscles in your calves start performing a less visible task. With each step, they compress and release the veins and lymphatic vessels in your legs. Fluid that would otherwise stagnate begins moving upward against gravity. Immune cells circulate more effectively. Waste products are cleared more efficiently. By 20 minutes, you are no longer in the same physiological state you were in when you stood up. You have shifted from conservation to utilization, from stagnation to flow. And you have done it without intensity, without exhaustion, just by walking. But the story does not stop at glucose or circulation, because modern stress is not physical. It is psychological. Unread emails, deadlines, financial pressure, constant notifications. Your body cannot distinguish between a predator in the wild and a glowing screen at night. Both trigger the same chemistry. Cortisol rises. Adrenaline sharpens your senses. Blood is redirected toward large muscle groups. This system was designed for action. Run, fight, climb, escape. But when you remain seated under stress, that chemistry has nowhere to go. You experience alertness without movement, tension without release. Over time, elevated cortisol begins to suppress recovery pathways. Sleep becomes lighter. Cravings intensify. Hormonal balance shifts subtly. Testosterone, in both men and women, is sensitive to chronic stress load, not in dramatic spikes, but through long-term pressure. Movement changes the narrative. When you walk under stress, you align biology with behavior. The chemical signals of activation are matched by physical output. Your nervous system senses completion. Instead of frozen vigilance, you create forward momentum. Breathing deepens, heart rhythm stabilizes, mental noise softens. You are no longer a body trapped in alert mode. You are a body in motion. And that difference, repeated daily, reshapes how your system handles stress over time. And then, somewhere beyond the 20-minute mark, something deeper begins to unfold. Not in your muscles, not in your bloodstream, in your brain. For decades, scientists believed the adult brain was fixed, that after a certain age, neurons could only decline, that cognitive aging was inevitable. We now know that is not true. Your brain is plastic. It adapts, it rewires, it can even grow new neurons. But it needs a trigger. Sustained movement provides that trigger. Around 30 to 40 minutes of continuous walking, your brain increases the release of a powerful protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your neural network. Without it, connections weaken. With it, neurons strengthen their links, repair damage more efficiently, and form new pathways. One region in particular responds strongly: the hippocampus. This is the center of memory formation, learning, and emotional regulation. It is also one of the first regions to shrink with chronic stress and aging. When you walk regularly, you are not just improving mood, you are supporting the structural integrity of this memory center. Neuroplasticity is not an abstract concept. It is physical change, synapses becoming more efficient, communication between brain regions becoming more fluid. This may explain something you have already experienced. Why do ideas come more easily when you are walking? Why do solutions appear during a long stroll rather than while staring at a screen? When you move steadily, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for constant analysis and self-criticism, quiets slightly. Other networks begin communicating more freely. Creativity increases. Perspective widens. It is not accidental that some of history's most influential thinkers preferred to walk while working through complex ideas. Steve Jobs often held walking meetings. Charles Darwin built a path specifically for thinking. They were not simply pacing. They were leveraging biology. By the time you reach that 30 to 40-minute threshold, you are no longer just managing stress or blood sugar. You are actively reshaping your brain. While your brain is adapting, another transformation is happening quietly beneath the surface, inside your arteries. Every time your heart pushes blood forward, that blood slides along the inner lining of your vessels. This lining is called the endothelium. It is not just a passive tube. It is an active, intelligent layer of cells that senses flow and responds to it. When you walk, blood flow increases steadily, not violently, not in bursts, but in a sustained rhythm. That gentle friction against the arterial walls sends a biochemical signal. In response, the endothelium releases nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a powerful vasodilator. It tells the smooth muscle around your arteries to relax. The vessels widen. Resistance drops. Blood moves more freely. This has immediate and long-term consequences. Blood pressure decreases. The heart does not have to push as hard. Arterial stiffness begins to soften over time. You are not simply exercising your heart. You are restoring flexibility to your vascular system. Think of it this way. A rigid hose cracks under pressure. A flexible one adapts. Walking trains your arteries to remain flexible. Better circulation also means more consistent delivery of oxygen and nutrients to every tissue. Muscles recover more efficiently. Organs function with less strain. And yes, Circulation influences sexual health as well. Vascular responsiveness is central to reproductive function. When blood vessels are healthy and responsive, the entire hydraulic system of the body performs better. But the benefits do not stop with blood vessels. We need to shift lower, to your joints. Many people fear that movement wears joints down. They imagine cartilage like a tire with a limited number of miles. Biology does not work that way. Cartilage has no direct blood supply. It depends on mechanical loading to stay nourished. Each step compresses the joint surface. When you lift your foot, pressure is released. Fresh synovial fluid moves in. Waste products move out. Compression, release, nutrition. Walking is a natural pumping mechanism for your joints. Without it, cartilage dries, stiffens, and becomes more vulnerable. With it, the tissue remains resilient. So while you think you are simply taking a walk, your arteries are learning to relax, and your joints are being bathed in the fluid that keeps them alive. Movement is not wear. It is maintenance. There is one more layer most people never consider: your vision. When you walk forward, the world moves past you. Trees slide across your peripheral field. Shadows shift. Light changes subtly with each step. This visual motion is called optic flow. It sends a powerful signal to the brain. We are moving. We are not trapped. We are progressing. Deep inside your brain, a structure called the amygdala constantly scans for threat. When you remain still under stress, especially staring at a screen, your visual field narrows. Your focus locks in. The brain can interpret that as vigilance without escape. But forward motion changes that interpretation. Peripheral movement expands awareness. The nervous system receives confirmation of mobility. Anxiety circuits begin to quiet. This is why pacing feels instinctive when you are nervous. Your body is trying to regulate itself through motion. And while your mind is calming, another system is working in the background: the immune system. Unlike blood, which has the heart as its pump, the lymphatic system relies heavily on muscle contraction to move fluid. Without movement, lymph can stagnate. Immune cells circulate less efficiently. When you walk, especially at a steady pace, your skeletal muscles rhythmically compress lymphatic vessels. Fluid is propelled upward. White blood cells are transported more effectively. Waste products are cleared. You are not just exercising. You are improving internal surveillance. Step by step, your body is patrolling itself. Now, widen the lens. Look at populations around the world known for extraordinary longevity. Places where living beyond 100 is not rare but expected. These communities do not rely on extreme training programs. They do not chase intensity. They move naturally throughout the day. They walk to visit neighbors. They walk to markets. They walk as part of daily life. Movement is woven into their identity. It is not a workout. It is a way of being. And that quiet consistency may be one of the most powerful health interventions available. And beneath everything we have discussed, beneath the blood flow, the hormones, the neurons, there is one final layer: your DNA. At the ends of your chromosomes sit protective caps called telomeres. You can think of them as the plastic tips at the end of a shoelace. They keep your genetic material stable. Each time a cell divides, those telomeres shorten slightly. Over years, as they become too short, cells lose their ability to function properly. This is one of the fundamental mechanisms of biological aging. Chronic stress accelerates that shortening. Metabolic dysfunction accelerates it. Persistent inflammation accelerates it. Inactivity feeds all three. But consistent movement appears to slow that decline. Studies have linked regular, moderate activity with longer telomeres compared to sedentary lifestyles. Not immortality, not reversal, but deceleration, a slower biological clock. This is the part most people miss. Walking is not dramatic. It will not transform you in a week. It will not shock your nervous system into sudden change. Instead, it works quietly, cumulatively, relentlessly. One walk does little, but 365 walks reshape physiology. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need ideal motivation. You need repetition. 10 minutes today, 15 tomorrow, 30 when you can. You were designed for forward motion, and every time you choose to move, you are not just taking a step across the ground. You are taking a step away from decline and toward longevity. Open the door. Let the biology do the rest.